54. Still chugging along. Amazing. But anyway. Wait, sorry. It's like I have like I'm like I have a sneeze, but I can't. It's not a sneeze yet.
Oh, the trees and flowers are starting to bloom here,
Mhm.
and I think I'm starting to get some allergies from that.
Oh yeah, no, they've been doing that for like a week or two here, and it's finally starting to lit up. Only because we had
Yeah.
like some major winds come through, and so I think that helped. Anyways, 54. So what do we have to talk about this week? Google making waves again, one of its biggest acquisitions ever. Then, of course, the much anticipated Nvidia's GTC, their conference that they hold every year. And again, because Nvidia stock has not been doing well, a lot of hopes and dreams riding on it. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And that's about it. Whatever else comes.
Kind of a boring week this week. I mean, there were some big things that happened. And Nvidia and Tesla both had all hands or public speaking forums where the CEOs Jensen Huang and Elon Musk talked about stuff and very important stuff. But I think both of them were just kind of, hmm, we'll see. Kind of nothing mind blowing, I guess. Kind of the same stories, right? So yeah, maybe we'll just talk. Let's start with those then.
I did watch Jensen's opening. And so I felt a lot of it was like a repeat of what he's previously talked about. So robots being like the next growth driver, apparently. And he brought up a little Star Wars-esque droid up to kind of demonstrate, how much progress they've made towards their robotics chip and their robotics
Mhm.
framework or development kits. Which I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. But speaking of, you haven't seen like Atlas put out a new video to kind of showcase some of the function of what Atlas can do now. Man, it looked like a human being like crawling on the floor and doing stuff. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I saw
It,
that one. It like tumbled and stuff.
yeah, it tumbled. It was doing like a military crawl. And so I saw that. And so after Justin brought that, I was like, okay, like boring compared to what Boston Dynamics is doing with robotics. And then, I felt like he spent a lot of time trying to justify why people should still be buying Blackwell and that they're doing okay, right? Because I think that's what the fear after DeepSeek has been is people just don't need the compute anymore. So it felt like he's spent a lot of time trying to make the case of why
Okay.
that is still going to be a growth thing for them. No.
It's interesting that you started off saying it was kind of the same that he's talked about before. Because I had that same feeling as well. I
Yeah.
thought it was like deja vu, meaning the last time he spoke about this stuff, where it was actually more of a splash, because everyone remembers when he was on stage and had all those robot images behind him and then brought some robots onto the stage. That was really cool. And so felt like he kind of just used the same storyline.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was a little bit boring to me. And I thought it was also interesting at the beginning. I don't know why he said this, but he did say this. He said, "Hey, it's me. I'm here. No teleprompter. I'm going off script." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
But then he was clearly looking at
He's looking
the
at something.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
looking at whatever the slides.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Why did he feel the need to say that? At the same time,
Yeah.
he knows his stuff. But yeah, the robot stuff was cool. The whole 3-step cycle around like simulation, training, and then application was really cool. That makes sense. The little robot that came on stage was cool. I don't know if it was being controlled or if it was actually responding to things that he was saying.
Yeah.
So it's hard,
Yeah.
but conceptually, yeah, we all know this already. Interactive robots are cool.
Yeah.
And then I thought for me, the thing that was probably um, the most like cool or theatrical was when he was using Nvidia's office space as the backdrop
Hmm.
and then kind of go in and out of different areas of Nvidia to kind of represent what he was talking about. I thought it was very similar to Apple because
I,
Apple now and their
that's what I was
memes,
about to say.
yeah,
It's like Apple does a lot of those virtual, like,
yeah. They'll zoom out and then zoom back
yeah,
in
yeah,
and travel, and Nvidia kind of tried to do the same thing.
yeah,
It still came off, effectively, I think,
yeah,
but it was just kind of
yeah,
we all like we all say, like everyone says, it's like Apple sets the stage for presentations and everyone just kind of copies them.
yeah. I thought, I don't really remember if this is actually brand new or if it's just another partner, but when he called out that they're partnering with GM to like basically help them create their autonomous driving system, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
Speak much to it, but in my mind, it's more of okay, this could be interesting because GM. It's still one of the biggest automakers. Their Cadillac Lyric, I don't know if everybody's seen, it's actually a pretty nice looking car, but the missing component of the big three has always been they just don't have the tech chops for it, right? So I thought it was interesting he called out this partnership that Nvidia is going to
yeah,
be
that was good.
helping them. But again, who knows how long it will take, right? They're training in order to develop autonomous because of their, again, simulated environments and driving routes, etc., etc. So anyways, we'll see. It's not like they're starting from zero, right? GM has been working on it. But anyways, that's the other,
Yep.
one of the only other standout things that I got out of GTC.
Yeah, I did think that one was actually really good too. Let's see, did GM pop from that?
It did, and then it went straight back down. I was actually watching, once he said GM, I was like, GM. You could see the spike, and then of course it came down. But
Came back down. Well, it still closed the week about
yeah, yeah,
3% up.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely positive news.
Nvidia, on the other hand, was flat.
Yeah. It went up to like 118-ish, and then it would go down like $2, $3. It'd come up like $1, and so you could tell the algos were working overtime during the conference. But I think some people were making the comparison of like if Jensen had given this kind of talk around Blackwell like last year or something like that, I mean the stock would probably be going all-time highs, but it barely moved it this time. And so
Yeah.
I think, you know, that is starting to like not shine as brightly anymore.
Well, I think it's just, it's priced in, right?
Yeah, a lot
This
of
is
things
what
have.
we expect from Nvidia, and so in order to go higher, they need to
Yeah. Yeah.
over deliver or do something, wild.
Yeah. But
One piece of news that came out after that was Jensen said that there were 3.6 million orders for Blackwell GPUs, on the
no.
purchase order
Yeah.
list,
No.
and that excluded Meta. And we know Meta is, a heavy buyer of these
Yeah.
chips because of their whole AI
Yeah.
roadmap. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of chips at
Yeah.
about like $9,000 a pop, right?
More, right? Anywhere between 9 and 20, depending on when you got it. But yeah. And I think he mentioned the next set of chips. I forget what it was named. But anyways, yeah, there's some discussion on financial news about he was already talking about the next chip potentially. And so that's like, well, he made his comments in the beginning. It's like my CFO or my finance people are gonna hate me. And so I'm like the revenue destroyer as he was talking about Blackwell, etc. Anyways, we can move on.
Next
Move
chip
on.
is Vera Rubin
Yes, yes, yes. He
from
talked about
Rubin
that.
AI.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, why would people buy Blackwell if you're going to start talking about Vera Rubin? Like, how much better is it?
Starting to run into the Apple problem, right? Where people hold out for the
Yeah,
next model.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So overall, nothing too
Oh,
interesting, I didn't think.
related to more AI, one thing that I saw was this just popped up in one of the feeds is this new AI tattoo bot.
Tattoo bot.
Was
Okay.
yeah, like a tattoo machine that uses AI,
Yeah.
which to me makes total sense. Like,
Hmm.
one, it's just there's probably two sides of that. One is there's something special about having art done on your skin from a person, right? Because then that's like unique, right?
Yeah.
Even the mistakes or the imperfections, it's unique. It's art. On the other hand, what if I just want a perfect, you know,
I've seen too many horror
buy-in?
stories.
Yeah, yeah. and AI would theoretically, solve that and even probably go faster
Yeah,
than person.
yeah,
So that use case makes total sense. Well, I think what you'll see then there is I don't think the tattooist is gonna go away. It's just
yeah,
it's gonna be reserved for like the really cream of the crop tattoo artists, and they're gonna be
yeah,
able to
yeah,
charge a killing.
yeah. I mean, this is what I still am not quite sure of is what are the actual use cases for AI, right? I mean, everybody just talks about it, but where it actually matters for an actual consumer or for a user, right? That it actually feels impactful. So like with tattoos, it seems it's a little bit more tangible, right? You can say, oh, okay, the AI is doing it by a robot. Get some news and apparently is testing AI responses and comments, which sounds like a terrible feature. Terrible in that I'm sure it'll help drive engagement, but it'll make everything feel cookie cutter.
Oh, I mean within like posts?
Yeah, within like posts
Yeah.
or like comments, it's like, to say a picture and then the AI might suggest like what you should comment on this picture. And I'm like, why? I mean, that's like Twitter
Well,
is like filled with bots that have like these generic comments, right? And it's like Google actually was testing this. Do you remember the Olympics ad that they had and that went all viral because it's like, why would you want AI to write a letter to your idol, to your hero that would make it so ingenuous? And so I think it's like, again, it's kind of reaching, right? It's like, where can we use AI to help?
yeah.
And something like this, it just feels like, great, like, wow, great. The view looks wonderful, or like the view is beautiful. It's like, why bother?
Well, here's what I think. I can understand the hypothesis around driving engagement, but I don't know the data. I don't think like Facebook is the place where comments drive engagement.
Mhm.
However, TikTok, like
Uh,
that is a place where comments drive engagement.
yeah,
Like I'm sure you do this, right? You're like the first thing you do is go to the comments because it's like
right.
pretty entertaining,
Yeah, exactly.
but that's unique to TikTok.
Yeah,
Like if you go to YouTube, it's all
yeah,
trolls typically, right?
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think the TikTok thing is like my case in point, right? Is like if those comments were AI generated, it wouldn't make them as interesting.
Maybe, but I guess that's the code they're trying to crack.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it would make sense on Facebook.
Or I mean, this would be on Instagram though, so it's a little bit different than
Mm.
Facebook. But again, I'm sure they'd roll it out across all their platforms.
I've never really looked at comments and reels. Are they as entertaining as TikTok, or is it just a different like user type?
Yeah, it's a different type of user, right?
Yeah.
I mean, IG photos are just so fake.
But what
There's
about
really
reels? Like reels are oftentimes,
yeah,
top-
okay.
yeah.
Sometimes I actually
Yeah.
don't pay attention much to reels. I should.
See, well, that's the thing. They're trying to get these comments in there.
Yeah, I've also seen news that they might split off reels into a separate app too to compete with TikTok
Mm,
directly, which might be interesting.
yeah,
Or it would just be people reposting their TikTok on reels.
yeah, make that easy.
I found out why. I think I know why we were banned on TikTok, by the way.
Wow.
Because apparently TikTok does look at where your content comes from, and if you're just reposting stuff, it'll ban your account. People were like posting between like YouTube and Instagram, like
Yeah,
the same video, and apparently TikTok doesn't like that. They want the original content.
that's stupid. So they want you to do double the work.
Yeah, double the work, or either have your content on TikTok be different versus like, where some people just repost their TikTok and you'll see on like Instagram, it'll say TikTok, it'll end with the TikTok end cap.
Yeah.
Apparently that's okay, but it's not okay if it's the other way around.
I mean, it's a
Weird.
nice growth hack, but it
Yeah.
alienates a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on from that. Well, there's another AI thing that you had mentioned around.
Oh, yeah, this is all, it's always been not necessarily AI, but I guess it's AI in the sense that people are talking about AI search. Anthropic is making moves. I know Perplexity was before. I don't see much about Perplexity anymore, but apparently Anthropic is using Brave to power their search results, which I thought was Interesting. Interesting from 2 points. One is that the DOJ is still pursuing that they think Google should get rid of or offload Chrome. This caught my eye. I haven't used Brave in forever. Even though when it first launched, I was actually pretty
Either.
excited in using it, but I still end up coming back to Chrome for some reason.
Yeah, I was using Brave for a bit too during the crypto boom go
That's
time.
exactly that's why I started using it.
I think why I stopped using it was because primary reason I used it was to collect that coin, right?
Brave coin, yeah.
Yeah. But it was just
Bat,
so yeah,
BAT.
bad. But it was just so small. I'm gonna be browsing for like 50 years before I
Yeah,
even make, $10.
yeah.
What's the
I
point of this?
I actually thought it was interesting. Well, not to delve too much into crypto, I thought it was interesting though, because it was a way to help promote creators,
Yeah.
right? And it's a little bit too bad they kind of moved away from it because I thought that the concept is interesting to me. It's like it's one of those things where we talk about why I think crypto could be useful, but it's a way to basically reward creators for creating, right? You could tip them these BAT within the browser, and then creators earn the BAT through good content because you were supposedly to tip them. Anyways, I don't think they really fleshed out the tokenomics of it, but I
Yeah.
thought it's still in my mind. I'm still waiting for somebody to do it well. It just seems like an obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Brave
Switch
is a
back to Brave?
privacy-centric browser for anybody who doesn't know what it is. And yeah, I forget the CEO, founder, was he from Mozilla?
Yeah.
From Mozilla, yeah. Big,
Basically Mozilla Firefox.
yeah. So it had big backers, big name behind it. I mean, they're still chugging along. So if you think about the ecosystem, right, you have Microsoft's, I don't even know what Microsoft browser is calling, but we have Microsoft's browser, right? Edge, you have Chrome, Firefox still kicking around somehow, and then Brave, I would kind of put up there. But yeah, anyways, it's a
Are you gonna go
course.
try Brave again?
I have it installed,
Yeah.
box installed. I used Firefox for a while. Again, I just ended up coming back to Chrome. Brave is based on Chromium too, so maybe I should try it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically Chrome.
Just more,
More privacy, built by Firefox's,
yeah,
was the CEO or founder.
somebody like that. Forget.
So it's a good
It's been a
browser.
while. Yeah,
It's just yeah, that was the same way. I kind of came back to Chrome.
yeah. But anyways, so we shall see. So now we have another browser tied to one of the top, AI companies. Again, everybody's looking to pull down Google search, right? And so if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be one of these AI providers, apparently. So Anthropic and Brave. There we go.
What's the
I smell an acquisition.
You forgot about the other browser,
Is there?
which is I was trying to look for the name, but it's the dark web browser. That's
Oh gosh, does dark web still even exist at this point?
yeah.
I guess it does.
All right, let's move on from that. All right. Well, we talked about Nvidia's GTC. Tesla also had all hands. It was like over an hour long. I didn't even realize what was going on until my phone started getting blown
Yeah,
up with all these notifications.
yeah,
Elon Musk tells employees to hold on to
yeah,
stock, not
yeah,
sell during all hands.
yeah.
And you can go on YouTube and actually watch the all hands. They live streamed it.
They streamed it on X's Spaces or
Yeah.
whatever. I
And
was gonna
I
make a
didn't
joke.
want
My joke
what
was, and a lot of employees didn't even know there was an all hands.
uh, interesting.
Yeah, a lot of employees, just from what I was able to get from comments, didn't actually even know there was an all hands because it was sent out
Yeah.
like at the last minute, or people found out
Yeah.
from when it was posted on X.
It makes sense for us, the public, to not know about the all hands, but for the employees to not know is something else.
Yeah, me that
However,
indicates it was just him trying to do damage control.
However, there were a bunch of people there live. So he must have set up in a Tesla's manufacturing arm and they all just kind of rushed up.
Probably.
Yeah, but he said don't sell the stock. He talked about, I mean, what I caught was like he was talking about he was re-articulating his vision, of the future. We talked about robots again and all that stuff. But I mean, the stock did pop good 5 or 6%.
Yeah.
So what did
Knows.
you glean from it?
Like I said, to me, it was all, didn't say anything new. He made a mention. I didn't want to call it out, but since he talked about it, mentioned, some of the vandalism that has gone on at Tesla, doesn't understand why people are boycotting Tesla. And it's like, dudes, go look in a mirror and you might, again, he probably doesn't understand because he can't empathize with the why. Anyways, damage control is the only thing that came across my mind of why he did this. Tesla has never done all hands, right? Musk on a, on many occasions doesn't even show up to his earnings calls, but all of a sudden he's doing this public all hands stream live, very out of character, right? And so all to me means he's just doing it for damage control.
Oh, well, it kind of worked.
It worked for the
Yeah, I
algo.
was happy to see the stock
It
go up the way it did.
Yeah, it worked for the algos, and
Yeah.
maybe some institutions were with it, but again, we will see. Still some key levels
Yeah.
that hasn't broken through. Their biggest shareholder has called for him to step down from being CEO, so that's something new.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, right, is his time, but also his stance and his kind of where he is right now in the political
Yeah,
mainstream.
yeah,
Because a couple weeks ago, they were interviewing him and they asked, has it been hard to, do this and
yeah,
also balance as many CEO titles at big companies? And he frankly put it, it's difficult.
yeah,
And that's damning when it comes to, a whatever 600, $800 billion company right now in Tesla.
yep,
And yeah, something needs to happen. So that probably is damage control on his part.
yep.
But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think, one, he should step down, or two, he should continue the way he is, or three, maybe come back to his companies and get out of the political limelight
I
as much
mean,
as he is?
you know, who knows, right? As a shareholder, if I were a shareholder, I know you can go either way. You can say, does Elon still represent Tesla, right? If not, then yeah, he should step down. If you think he does, then he should put his time into Tesla. I think it's either kind of like a yes or no thing. It's like if Tesla is relying on Elon to keep this valuation, then yeah, he should put more focus into it, right? If he's not contributing to that narrative or that story, then he should step down. Um,
Do you think Elon stepping down and Tesla getting a new CEO would be good or bad for the company?
uh,
Well,
on
maybe what I mean by that is good or bad for the stock price right now. If it were to
Yes,
happen next week.
I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
right? It's because he's just done so much brand damage that I don't know. I was gonna say like we'll get some indication with the next delivery numbers that should be out in like a week. And again, it feels like, and this is why it's hard to say anything without the data, right? It feels like he's done irreparable damage to the brand. So whether he's there or not, people just might not, doesn't mean they'd run back to Tesla. And I say
Right.
that because just because he's not a CEO doesn't mean he doesn't benefit greatly from Tesla.
Yeah.
He is a major shareholder still.
Well, and also he'll still be able to pull strings. Just like Bezos. Bezos is not CEO of Amazon, but I don't actually think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, yeah,
I was what was I listening to? I was listening to some podcast, I think, and the person was like, "Oh yeah, Amazon CEO Bezos,"
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
right. He's
not the
still
CEO
associated,
anymore. It's been like
right?
almost a year.
Yeah, I mean yeah, I agree. Your everyday person doesn't know. I have to think of
And
it.
Jasky,
Jasky, right,
yeah.
is the CEO. It's like people so say Bezos is that, and it takes a while for that to get separated. It's like Sergey. Well, I think Sergey and whatever the Google
Yeah.
founders. I feel that was
Sergey Brin and
this, or yeah,
Larry
were
Page.
was dissociated because they just weren't as recognizable as a name. I think. Anyways,
Yeah,
I don't know where
we're
that,
told they
but
were.
in tech circles, but like your everyday person, right? Like Bezos, oh, Amazon,
Yeah.
Zuckerberg, you know, Facebook, Meta. Tesla, Elon, right? Tim Cook, Apple. I think a lot of people just know that.
Tim Apple.
Tim Apple.
Well, I think I agree with you in that. Perhaps he's done too much damage to the brand that like him stepping down wouldn't change anything. And so
Yeah,
I guess call to action then for him is how does he turn it around, right? Like,
yeah,
can he turn it around?
yeah.
How can he reinvigorate and build trust in him and the brand?
Yep.
I've
Um,
heard a number of people in my feeds trading in their Teslas for Rivians.
no,
And I'm in the Seattle area, so it's like a bit different because, EVs are pretty big here. But yeah. So it was like, I actually sold out of my Rivian during this downturn. But I'm like,
oh, did you
shit.
really?
Yeah, I took
Mm.
profit.
Oh,
But I was
okay.
like, because I was planning to come back in, but at a lower price.
Yeah,
But it's kind of maintained the $10 to $11 range.
yeah.
And so when I saw someone on my feed post that again, I was like,
Yeah, I also think the difference is that there are a lot more EVs out now than, let's say, 5 years ago, right? Where Tesla
yeah,
was undoubtedly the leader in EVs. And so I think that's the other problem now is like you have something to switch to that is fairly comparable. Whatever people talk about FSD being like the greatest thing, you've said it's pretty good. But again, I don't think it's still not a major purchase decision if you really look at it, right?
yeah,
Range, good quality built car, and there's just a lot more
accessible
competition,
charging.
accessible charging, and there's just a lot more viable competitors now. And so that's why I think it just amplifies kind of the things he's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well, we
well,
shall see.
we
Their whole next few years thesis is around robotics and AI. And
we'll see how that goes.
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, because yeah, that's right. Yeah, he called out robots as being end of next year. Again, at the end of next year is when he says, you guys are gonna be able to purchase these robots. And I'm like, we will see because there are actually a lot of viable robotics companies out there right now who have also got tons of funding. Like Figure
Mhm.
is the biggest one I've seen where they're actually showcasing it doing manufacturing type things in warehousing is one example. Boston Dynamics, the Atlas is pretty phenomenal. So we'll see. A lot of Chinese robotics companies, I've seen those start to float around quite a bit, which all look on par with, Atlas and this Figure AI startup, whatever. But again,
Yeah.
we'll see. Sure.
All right. Well, those are the two big CEOs that led us through their plans for the next few years.
Yeah.
They were both kind of duds in our opinion,
Yeah.
but they are also both very, very important to the stock market and just
Yeah.
tech in general.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even in light of the things we just talked about, I'm still pulling for them because they need to, continue to pioneer things in the tech world.
Yeah.
Our last story here, we can just touch on it briefly since we're at 36 minutes now. But Google announced it wants to acquire cloud security startup Wiz for $32 billion, which would be its biggest acquisition to date.
Yep. Yep.
Wiz does security, so like cybersecurity, cloud security, and they had an ARR of $700 million, which is not chump change. That's a
Yeah.
high valuation,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for that type of deal.
Yeah.
It needs to pass regulatory approval, so we'll see how that goes. And people are speculating, what's going to happen since Google is in all these antitrust
Yeah.
lawsuits right now.
Yeah.
But the other two kind of fun facts that I heard, one is this company was actually started by people who sold their previous company to Google,
Hmm.
which was doing somewhat of the same thing.
Yeah.
So they sold a security startup to Google, did their time, left, restarted another security company,
Yeah.
and then sold it again to Google for higher
Yeah.
valuation, which is
Yeah.
bonkers to me. It's like, it's crazy. And then the other thing I heard was there's about 1,000 employees there.
Yeah.
And so at a $32 billion acquisition, like each employee is going to
Yeah.
be a millionaire now,
Yeah,
just
they
based on the windfall that they get from this acquisition.
yeah, they're gonna make bank. And this is their second this is Google's second attempt at trying to acquire this company.
This company, yeah.
Yeah, they also tried to acquire it last year for 23 billion. So if you think about it, it's jumped up 9 billion in under a year. There's a
Whoosh.
there's a lot of debate on like why does Google need to acquire this, right? Because the technology is not necessarily like super unique. It's not something that Google probably couldn't build itself internally. Yet
Smells like collusion to me.
you know, who knows? But yeah, it feels like a weird acquisition. But you know, I think on the you can see in the stock price didn't really get a bump. Google's pretty flat. I saw a lot of like financial circles, etc. Is like Google just doesn't do very well at acquiring companies. They're not very good at like efficient about using their money to do this type of thing. And so it's just like, you know, why? And again, question is why does it make sense? But anyways, who knows? Maybe.
Hey Google, if you want to acquire us for, like 1 million,
I'd be happy.
that'd be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, we'll create content for you. I'm happy to do it.
That's like less than 1% of Wiz's acquisition.
Yeah, yeah, it's an
So
insane number,
stupid.
and I don't understand.
All right, well, juicy stories today. A lot going on in the AI and tech world. A lot going on, but a lot going on that's kind of just like meh. So I think we'll see what happens in Q2. Trump continues to do his thing, so we didn't cover much of that this week, but he continues to go fast and aggressive in all the things he's trying to do.
Yep.
So we'll come back next week and talk more about all this juicy stuff. Give
Yeah.
us a like, give us some comments. Welcome to our new subscribers. We did have new subscribers over the last week here. I don't know if you saw that.
Welcome.
Welcome to them, and let us know what you like or what you want to hear more of.
All right.
See you next week.
See ya.